Hey, welcome to December's Secret Writers Showcase. Put on my sparkly top to be a bit festive. So I've got four amazing writers for you today. I'd like to start with Cath Bateman. Kath will be telling a cheeky tale of Christmas. It's got turkey butties, it's got a social club, and it's got a lot of bit of booze. It's quite fun. And then we're going to move on to Mary Beattie, who'll be taking us back to V-Day and the celebrations during COVID, and also a bit of a reminiscence about clog making. So I hope you enjoy. First up, it's Cath Bateman from Sunshine Writers on the Go Theatre Company, and just an all-round amazing, humorous writer.
Christmas Eve in Paradise. Everything was all right yesterday morning. It was Christmas Eve, one of my favourite days of the year. I woke up early, excited at the thought of work, or lack of it more like. It would be party, party, party from the word go. I opened the curtains and I couldn't believe it. It was like a Christmas card. Everything was covered in snow. It was still snowing, thick, heavy flakes. Paul came running into our bedroom. Mum, Mum, look, it's snowing. Can I make a snowman? Please, please. I laughed. Ask your dad when he gets up. I have to go to work. Jimmy at this moment was snoring away in our big double bed. Nothing less than an earthquake would wake him up. Everything was all right yesterday afternoon. Jimmy had scraped the car for me after I had woke him up with a cup of tea. He had given me and my next door neighbour Betty a lift to work. We worked in the same office. And then he had hurried home to make a snowman with our Paul. Don't forget the turkey, he had said, as though I needed reminding. Oh, and don't get too drunk, as if. I hadn't been in the office 5 minutes when Ken popped his head round the door. I knew he would be first. Ken always had a bottle of whiskey in his drawer, and he always had a red face and glazed eyes. One day he had come to work in 2 odd shoes, one black and one tan, and he'd come on the bus. And a couple of months ago, the day before his wedding, his workmates had tied him up naked to the lamppost outside our office window. He was either too drunk or just too laid back to be bothered. He shouted abuse to everybody for 5 minutes and then he fell asleep. We had to wake him up and untie him when it was time to go home. By 10 o'clock, our office was full of Christmas cheer. We had mulled wine, mince pies, pork pies, and lots of wine and spirits that we had received from our suppliers. Cards and presents were handed round, and our boss John even dressed up as Father Christmas. We sang carols, pulled crackers, and laughed at the jokes inside them. By 12 o'clock we were all ready to leave work for another year because we were going on a pub crawl round Wigan. But first I needed to get going buy my turkey. Betty said she would come with me because she wanted to buy some new curtains. After a lot of picking and choosing, she finally decided on some red and gold striped ones. I really like these, she said. There was something about them. I'm sure I'd seen them somewhere before. I bought the biggest turkey you have ever seen. Well, that was all they had left. And laden with our purchases, we joined our work colleagues on our yearly pub crawl. My poor turkey was Dippy, being dragged from pub to pub and being placed in the middle of the floor while we danced around it. Jimmy picked me up and Betty up at 4 o'clock, and we were quite sober considering. When I got home, I admired Paul's snowman, and then I had a lie down. Well, I had to get ready for my night out. I phoned Betty to make arrangements. Oh, do your curtains look nice? I asked. Don't ask, she said. She said that when she got home, she couldn't believe it. They were the same as the ones she already had up. I thought I'd seen them somewhere before, but I didn't say anything. We must have both been a bit drunk. Everything was all right early evening. We can never get babysitters for Christmas Eve, so we take it in turns going to the local club. I always draw the short straw and have the first shift, 7 o'clock till 9. Jimmy doesn't like me enjoying myself too much. Oh, don't feel sorry for me. Me and Betty always have a good time. We have a few rum and blacks, and we are always the first up dancing. And we only have a couple of hours. We have to enjoy it. Our coalman Brian and his mate Geoffrey asked us to dance. Well, why not? After a couple of dances, I told him I was like Cinderella and I had to go home. You're not going home, he said. It's only 9 o'clock. I told him I was babysitting. Do you need any company? He said. I just laughed. And that's when it started to go wrong. Another custom on Christmas Eve is taking turkey butties into the club. Everybody does it. Me and Betty take it in turns to provide them, and when the kids are asleep, we nip into each other's houses to make them for our husbands. We only live round the corner from the club, so one of our husbands comes for them. It was Betty's turn this year. We were busy making the butties and quickly sobering up. You don't think Brian was serious about babysitting? I asked Betty. Oh, was he? She said. Just as she said that, Jimmy came flying into Betty's house. He was fuming. He threw the butter and the knife up the wall. The butter went all over her red and gold curtains. It's a good job she'd got some new ones. Jimmy said he had gone to her house, and Brian the coalman was sitting on the sofa in the front room. What do you think he said to me? Jimmy fumed. What? I whimpered. I've come to see if you want any coal. I've been sitting next to him all night in the club. What is going on, lady? He said as he stormed out. I've not seen Jimmy since. I think he's gone to his mother's. Me and the kids are having a quiet Christmas with a huge turkey to devour.
Hello everybody. Okay, so now I'd like to introduce our next writer. It's Mary Beattie, who is a wonderful writer who comes to Sunshine Writers, and it's been an absolute pleasure reading her work over the years. So Mary, what are you going to be reading today?
From my diary of June 2020, week 6 of the lockdown.
Lovely. And you've been keeping the lockdown diary up like from the beginning, haven't you, really?
Yes, I mean, some weeks there's whole pages, a whole week will go by, there's nothing in it. But if I remember, I try to get it down,
Oh, lovely. Okay, so I'll disappear now and I'll let you read your work because I don't want to see my ugly mug all the way through it. Okay, Mary, whenever you're ready, you can start reading.
Okay. June 2020, week 6 of the lockdown. Monday, logged into Zoom at last after a tutorial of my son. Lovely to see everyone's smiling faces and share their hard work. It keeps it all going. When we're in the same room, everything seems normal. Tuesday. Joe's eyebrows are like Dennis Healy's, only pure white. Lovely sunny day, so I cut it in the garden, trimmed his eyebrows and ears and shaved his neck with the electric razor. Finished off by asking, would you like something for this evening, sir? But he didn't get it, not being a fan of... The first time I ever cut his hair 40 years ago, I nicked his ear, and as blood spattered down onto his shoulder, he didn't roar with pain. I quickly asked him, are you going to see Everton on Saturday, sir? I hope the birds use the hair to feather their nests. I'd become a bit of a bird watcher after seeing a blackbird peck into the lawn and then stand aside as her large fluffy chick took over. One pull, a big fat juicy worm. Then Mum moved over to the breadcrumbs I'd put down and picking them up starts expertly throwing them into the chick's open beak. Mothers, you can't beat them. Wednesday, just phoned my neighbour who get our bread and milk, lovely kind people. Sadly, I had to ask them if they could add 2 condolence cards to my list. Thursday, found some lamb mince in the freezer. Who would have thought that would ever bring me joy? Made a shepherd's pie with loads of cheese on top, enough to feed 4 people. It came out of the oven so golden, I took a photo to send to my family. I miss cooking for the granddaughters on a Thursday after school. Phoned a friend and was shocked to hear that she hadn't been over the doorstep for a walk since lockdown because of the state of her hair. Put a hat on, I growled. That's what I do. VE Day. Watch Charles and Camilla lay a wreath at the Unknown Soldiers Memorial, and for the first time thought I could see her as a future queen. Then I thought, well, the Queen's so strong, she seems invincible, so I wouldn't see that happen anyway. The doorbell rang, an unusual sound these days. Annoyingly, it decides to play Happy Birthday. Halfway down the path is Fiona, the young widow from next door. She's holding a basket full of sweet packets. Would you like some, Mary? I made these up with gloves on. So kind. She said, I really only know you and Joe, so I'm going to offer them to everyone as an introduction to the neighbours. I asked her if she would like to sit at our table later. Her visit got me thinking in terms of red, white and blue. I had no flags or buntings like the neighbours opposite, but I found a blue and white tablecloth, a red napkins, a couple of red wine glasses plus a bottle of red wine, a royal blue top and a red flower to clip in my unkempt hair. When Shirley, our neighbour opposite, first suggested a street party, she said we could all wear turbans. That's great, I thought, hide my horrible hair. Then someone told her that people were getting dressed up. So we had to do that, and Joe wore an old bow tie. Monica, a widow who lives in the end bungalow, didn't get the second message, so she turned out in a turban, wraparound apron, wielding a mop and looking like Hilda Ogden. That set us all off laughing before anyone even had a drink. We were all giddy, just because we could see one another and talk to each other across the road instead of waving from a distance. Lots of photos were taken. I saw a child of 3 who lives a few doors down for the first time. It turned out her father is a headmaster and his mother is a hairdresser. Fiona told us about her husband being diagnosed with bowel cancer 4 months before he died, so they brought the wedding forward. He died 3 days later. 18 months earlier, he had taken redundancy money, bought a camper van, and they spent 12 months touring Europe in it. She said she was so lucky to have those memories of him. Then came a painfully long bingo game because 20 households were involved. You would have thought a single line would be shouted out quickly. But no, 45 minutes later, Shirley, who was exhausted chalking the numbers on the board and holding it up, shouted, "Is anybody sweating?" "I am," I answered, "because I'm so hot." What beautiful weather. God was on our side on VE Day. The headmaster summed it all up when he shouted, "I don't want this day to end. Are we all turning out for the singing at 9 o'clock? To a chorus of approval. Just after tea, another celebratory event, our Asda delivery turned up. So followed a hectic 30 minutes disposing of the loot. Shattered, we didn't turn out for the singing, but I listened with a lump in my throat and remembered all those who died and the sacrifices they made, giving us the gift of life.
Hello, Mary, well done. Mary, did you get to the end of your diary entry now, or was you distracted by your phone going?
But yeah, no, I carried on reading. I can't. Do you know? I think it will be Joe from the hospital, because I've sent a message to all the family saying not to ring me this morning. You know, and so I think it will be him from the hospital.
Do you need to check your phone, or do you want to read your next thing? What's best for you?
He might leave it for a bit, so I'll read the next bit.
Mary, before you do, it was so lovely hearing you talk about VE Day. I'd forgotten about how good that piece is. You know, like you meeting all the different community where you live, and like everyone's different stories. So thank you for reading that. I really enjoyed it. So now you've got a poem to share with us, haven't you?
Yes.
Okay, super. Well, I'll shove off so you can read your poem whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Louise. Just a bit of history. I'm writing slices of life because I'm old now. So this was part of my history. The last and the iron, or how objects can trigger memories. In our garden at the back are two objects painted black. One is an iron, the other a last. Seeing them gives me a blast from the past. Each Friday night I had to heat the iron on the fire and do the family ironing. It was slow and tedious. My father's and brother's shirts, my younger sister's dresses, my nin's pinnies and pink satin bloomers, and my own full rocker skirts, which had yards of material so that they would flare out while bopping. The fashions then were fabulous. The last reminded me of my father, who would sit bent over the last, which would be holding a shoe. His mouth would be full of tacks, which he would spit into his hand, then hammer onto the sole or heel, the leather which he had cut into the shapes he needed as he mended each shoe. He once told me, as I watched him fascinated, that as a boy, the only shoes he had were clogs, which were given out at the local police station. They were so poor. So he was determined to learn how to mend his own shoes, and a very good job he made of them too. He could also mend our radios. We called him Fix'em Dix'em. When I read this out loud last Monday, only Sean and Louise didn't know what a last was. They're too young.
It's true, we didn't know what a last was.
Yeah.
In case there's any younger people watching, what is a last? Remind me.
It's an iron shaped like two L's welded together, and you put the shoe on one part to do the heel. It hooks over the heel, and there's another part which is shaped like a sole. So you turn the last over and put the sole part on that part.
It's cool that. I love how people used to make clogs and make their own shoes, and then like now lots of people are obsessed with trainers. Like there's a whole sort of like continuum of like old shoe to modern trainer. Oh, thank you, Mary, for that. Thank you so much for sharing your work with us. And now I'll introduce our next writer. It is a delight to welcome Terry Burtonwood. He's got some poets in dialect. He's got some cheeky poems that wouldn't be out of place as a comedian in a social club. I think you'll enjoy it.
Hi, my name's Terry, and this first poem is one I did for Alan Gregory between Act 1 and Act 2 of Beyond Wigan Pier the musical. So here goes. It's a Wigan dialect poem about change. Well, we've left behind hunger, being small and having no teeth. We can all go to Sunshine House in schools on Sundays. Everyone gets roast beef. Things have changed since George Orwell in 1936. We get men and women up telly showing off all the bits. Who'd have thought a Scouser from Lee would go to Manchester Moor, and Latics have beat Man City twice in less than 5 years. Third folk wouldn't believe it if they could see what they could do with a phone. Well, we could probably phone E.T. and tell him come back home. We've gone from dancing Charleston to doing Northern Soul, queuing outside casino, all neat dancing where I go. Opposite Third Station, we all buses in a great big line, right near Oxley's and Woolley's. Them were good old times. Now we're getting a grand arcade and shopping they can do online. I thought Clues went online. They can't peg bottles of wine. We've gone from groats to guineas to a plastic 5-pound note and veneered teeth, silicone boobs and cameras that go down their throat. Remember Christmas presents as a kid? No iPhones or cute little pups. We hung a sock at bottom of bed and get no but tangerines and nuts. We played without washing lines and had for chalk up flag for games. Now they're getting iPods, iPads and something called a Wii. What bloody stupid names. Get ready now, this one will make you laugh. Just remember having for sure whenever they had a bath. Remember shouting, I've left bath water in, quick, it's going to go cold. I had for sure my sisters till my mum said I was too old. Mind you, I can't grumble, at least I had a good run, or only stopped us shearing when I turned 21. This next poem's called Prickly Pouts. Hi everyone, it's Christmas Eve, our yearly visit to Cousin Steve's. I hope Auntie Flo's not stood at door, her gliding eye looking up at mistletoe. Last year our tashes getting entwined, and I could taste smell of her mulled wine. It were like Velcro, we weren't half in a jam, and then at the corner of my eye I see Uncle Sam. Sam's all right, but he's getting a jealous streak, and I didn't fancy visiting A&E for neat. So I leant at door frame and gave a big push, and we're getting away from one another's mush. So this year I'm pushing card through door. I'm not going to all that anymore. I'm going to leave presents, I'm going to knock and run, and no more kisses, they're o'er and done. When her opens my present, I hope her gets my drift. I've sent her an iMac, her remover, as a gift. If it doesn't get thint as a way from do I dash, my only other option is but shave off me tash. Thank you. Bit of a Christmas theme going on, so this next one's called Tangerines and Nuts. Who's old enough for to remember the 25th of December? Not many presents, it has to be said. Your own socks hanging at bottom of bed. Not much joy when you look inside, just tangerines and nuts you can't abide. They runs downstairs and gust at fire, found implement that thou requires. The poker they were trying to find, but give them nuts a piece of their mind. You take them outside and place them on ground, and then you begin to pound and pound. And some with your teeth you try for break, only give yourself toothache. Them Brazil nuts, why they're as hard as nails, and at the end of the day, it's a massive fail. There's bits of nuts and shells all over the place. The hazelnut is our saving grace. One good hit in the middle of its shell, all the others can go to hell. How things have changed over all these years. If they don't get an iPhone, they're in floods of tears. I wonder how many of you old ones remember hitting your nuts with a poker. Painful. This next poem is one I did for Barbara at Sunshine House about a lady going to the doctors. Aptly it's called Boil on Her Bum. I went to the doctors with a boil on my bum. It was really nice, he said, in you come. He said, ooh, that looks sore. I said, it is. I can hardly sit down anymore. He said, don't worry. I'll send you to see a colleague of mine. He'll lance it and you'll be fine. So I walked down the corridor. He'd handed me a note. And I went through a door and I met a man in a white coat. I pulled down my knickers and I said, take a look at this. He inhaled a deep breath. I could hear the hiss. I said, well, can you do anything with it? 'Cause it's really sore. He said, I'm a painter, love doing walls and a door. Well, I blushed so much I went red in face, and I pulled up my knickers in that much haste. My skirt got stuck, and my bum you could see. I'm never going back to that surgery. This last poem's for elderly men. It's called An Old Man's Poem. There on me head has almost fallen out, but it's growing out me ears and down me snout. My brown hair has turned to grey, and my six-pack sadly has gone away. A barrel's replaced it, I'm not being silly. It's 5 long years since I last seen my Willie. Still, it's not in demand like it used to be, except for when I go for a pee. That's first thing about getting out, tha sees, is how many times they ask go for peas. They rushes to the loo 'cause they didn't go. That's finished, and they're certain there's no more. And that next thing they does is pull ruddy chain and noise at waiter makes the wank go again. That's twice in less than 2 minutes flat. And then washing the hands makes the wank go back. I've got memory loss for to look forward to, as well as keep going to the loo. They say age is just a number. I'll concur. But at least God could have let us keep our That's my poem finished. I did it especially for you. But I'll have to now because I'm doing got loo. So Louise at the Writers Group, our fabulous chooser, asked us to do a poem about a Christmas tree. So instead I did this carol. So excuse the voice and the singing, but I'm going to try and do it for you. It's called Oh Christmas Tree. Oh Christmas tree, I love you so when I was 3. Your shining lights that twinkle so, balls and tints so full of snow. Oh Christmas tree, as I grew older how I hated thee. Going in the loft to bring you down, no smiles on me, only frowns. Oh Christmas tree, smash glitter balls that hang on thee. Lights don't work, which one is out? Be the final one, that's no doubt. Oh Christmas tree, time goes so fast, I'm 63. Setting you up is hard to do, so I don't need the likes of you. Oh Christmas tree, you'll be the very death of me. Pine needles all upon the floor, can't wait to throw you out the door. Oh Christmas tree, 12 days have gone, I'm full of glee. Your time is done, you're in the bin, another year before you're back again. Oh Christmas tree, I'm glad to see the back of thee. Merry Christmas everybody, stay safe, bye.
Thank you, Terry, for giving us a laugh this Christmas. Terry comes to Sunshine Writers and was in Beyond Wigan Pier. I think he mentioned that at the beginning. And it's been lovely to see his journey through the writers' groups. Next up, and our final poet of this evening, it's from one old fella to another one. It goes by the name of This Old Chap. It's George Melling. George Melling makes work and raises money for hospice, and he's got a lovely set of poems, thoughtful poems for you now.
Dominic Cummings, his cardboard box filled with lies and COVID shit. Like a rat down Downing Street slink. So sod off, you Tory twit. But now that he's seen you off, just a pity Boris not as well. Your revenge, not be surprised. We look forwards, you a kiss and tell. A snapshot of time. We've become creatures of time. The steady and predicted tick of each passing minute, each hour, each day, each week, each month. that cocoons us in its safety. Our stay-at-home normality has become acceptable, dignified, in a world that was reached a limit of out of control. And the bodies mount up of those who'll never reach the promised utopia. That for now is only a graph on a piece of paper, and a monotoned succession of politicians reassuringly and calmly telling us not to worry. Oh, by the way, perhaps you'd best wear a mask after all, sorry. And the school bell rings out to an empty playground as IKEA opens its doors to a world of starved of flat packs. And another black man is killed in 8 minutes and 46 seconds, whilst a slave trader looked on benevolently from his plinth in Bristol before plunging inelegantly to his watery grave. And an old man on his journey from the horror of World War II sits outside in the darkening night, sips from a glass of something warming, and shakes his head in despair. Thank you. Good morning, Sissy. Good morning, Ada. Do you know, Sissy, I washed my feathers yesterday and I can't do a thing with them. It's always the same, Ada. I'm just watching that old chap at number 17. He's watching us through the window. Come on, you miserable sod. Get that seed on our bird table. I'm famished. No sense of urgency, Sissy. Although he's not so bad, really. He buys a good mixture. Not that cheap crap at 99p a sack. Anyway, must go, Ada. See you. See you, Sissy. Sissy and Ada. Sissy and Ada, two doves of renown, on the post each morning without fail, and they chatter and chitter and chuckle and frown as they each to the other their tale of daring do other posts on their flight before meet up these ladies good mates, and they chitter and chatter latest gossip unite, and one then the other debates. Whose garden shall we our hunt for food on a promise at number 17? Though chap through his window seems in a good mood as they each do the morning preen. As I look my high back first cup of today, Sissy and Ada, they fill me with love. As this way, that way, anyway sway, these two mates, just two collared doves. Life doesn't need to be complicated. Look for the special each day. It's there somewhere. Timothy M. Foster, London-based photographer, was gathering material for his book. This is when I first met him. All roads leads to Wigan Pier. Cast of characters: Dave the Council, Timothy M. Foster, photographer, Thou Chapar Sharon, Malik the waiter, Dave the security from Chester, a defecating dog, various amused motorists. Been anywhere nice? Disabled brothers, Dave the Council, share a room conversion. Then boots at Robin Retail Park, gents incontinence pants. £7.99 pack of 12, £3 off voucher, beauty products. Pound World, colour changing solar garden lights. Then back to my car, stifling a yawn and a fart and a twinge of a simple day. Tap, tap, shit, brackets, oh dear, I'm being mugged. Hello, hope you don't mind, but can I do a photo shoot? A tall, bristled, lumbering, unexpected Mr. Cannon. I'm out like a shot, say, would you like a poem? And his camera hyperventilates a succession of clicks and flashes as I pirouette and pound and recite and bounce this way, that way, Anyway, I can spot an audience on the retreating cars and slightly bemused drivers. A touch more accelerator than healthy. Whilst foaming at the mouth, Tim the Cannon. By this stage, he knows my name, my writings, our mutual friends, what I'd had for my breakfast and my waist size. I'm performing, he's flashing, whilst approaching high-vis man. Excuse me, the shops have sent me over. They're observing and getting a touch twitchy. Is everything all right, only? We can see an old man tottering and muttering and possibly getting a touch of the assaults. No, I explained then to high-vis Dave Security from Chester. I told the tale of my visit to Chester. I descended from the Roman wall, strolled down to the river and became part of its fabric for the length of this poem. The Song of the River. Cormorants, wings raised aloft, like a washing day clothes abreast, straggling weir on River Dee, sentinel straight in a line, at rest. The roar of the water cascade, occasional ripple, airborne bird, slows down a speeding life as the natural rhythms heard. I stand and look and refresh, commune with this scene unfold, just me, a river, some birds, and a story waiting to be told. Then a poem written on Halloween, clinging to the ancient walls of Chester, can be heard the whispered columns of hundreds, marching the years until today. Halloween meets the ghosts of a city wall. Roman wall that straggles the height, this historic city I'm found, on a day that nurtures fright, full circle the ramparts bound. Halfway, red line a snack, lost calories I'm keen renew, till satiated to the wall back, as each gate portfolios new view. Amphitheatre, multi-toilet to share, as I stroll wide-eyed each sight. Sheer drop of a peaked dare, looms building costumed black and white, with the inscription, "The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life." On Halloween, with ghosts of past, an army of spirits I greet, Roman garrison trick-or-treat cast, and do I imagine their marching feet. Sinistra, dirito, left, right, sinistra, dirito, left, right, sinistra, dirito, left, right. Tim the Cannon, click, click, and me willing an audience, but stuck with a bloke and his dog, who defecates against a wheel. Not mine. Could have been Tim's, he was too busy snapping to notice, as Dave from Chester, high-vis security, shuffles back to the sanity of his cabin, and Tim from London, on an assignment as part of his All Roads Lead to Wigan Pier exhibition at the Old Courts, packs his camera away with an air of relief as I finally get to drive away. And that evening, Sharon's car on her way to Mr. Ali's Indian restaurant in Miggleton. She was logging the music there, happened to say, "Been anywhere nice?" Well, brother, they up to Dave the Counsel, Incontinence the Pads, Solar the Lights, Tim the Cannon, Dave the Security, defecating the dog as she turns the radio up. We arrive, and Malik the waiter asks, "Been anywhere nice?" Well, brother, they up to Dave the Counsel, Incontinence the Pads, Solar the Lights, Tim the Cannon, Dog the Defecating, Dave the Security, Sharon the Driver, Malik the Retreated, back into his kitchen with an, "Excuse me, me poppadoms are done." Just a day in the life, a life in a day and a life, a passing moment of time that'll provide a chuckle as I sit in that high-backed chair looking out of my window of memories. A tableau of stories on the turntable of my mind, turning faster and faster and faster and faster. Tim's book, All Roads Lead to Wigan Pier, is soon to be published. I believe me and Dave the Security, we might just be in it somewhere. Thank you very much, the Old Courts. Bye.
And that's it for December's Secret Writers Showcase. A huge thank you to the talents of Cath Bateman, Mary, Beattie, Terry, Burtonwood and Mr George Melling. I'll see you all in the new year. I hope you get some writing done over the break, and if not, come back and just listen to what other people have made. Thanks, bye-bye.
If you've enjoyed watching the Old Courts live and you'd like to make a donation to support the work we do, please head over to www.theoldcourts.com/donate. This year's been incredibly difficult for most arts organisations, and we're no different. But with a huge effort and support from you and from our funders, we've managed to secure our organisation and the jobs of every staff member. We've also provided 343 artists with paid work for the Old Courts Live. And our volunteers have delivered over 700 food parcels and made 600 calls to isolated local residents. But the battle isn't over yet. We're currently closed to the public with zero income, and we don't know how long this closure is going to last. If you can help by making a donation, then you're helping to secure your arts centre. We're hoping to be around for a long, long time. Thank you.